day after Washington said it was putting 8,500 U.S. troops on alert for possible deployment to bolster NATO forces in Europe. The Russian military announced it was conducting new drills involving 6 thousnad troops near Ukraine and within the Crimea region. The drills included firing exercises with fighter jets, bombers, anti-aircraft systems and ships from the Black Sea and Caspian fleets, the Defense Ministry said. According to Western officials, the Kremlin has already deployed more than 100,000 troops on Ukraine's borders, with reinforcements arriving from all. The United States on Tuesday warned Moscow of damaging sanctions if it moves ahead with an invasion of Ukraine, as Russian combat troops massing around the pro-Western country launched new exercises. Tension appeared to be increasing, with the White House saying the risk of a Russian invasion of Ukraine remains imminent. A senior U.S. official laid out economic sanctions with massive consequences that go far beyond previous measures implemented in 2014 after Russia invaded Ukraine's Crimea region. New measures would include restrictions on exports of high-tech U.S. equipment in the artificial intelligence, quantum computing and aerospace sectors. NATO allies, fearful of a potential ground invasion by Russia, have stepped up support for Kyiv by sending additional troops and military equipment to Ukraine. The alliance says its move is in response to Russia's continued military buildup along the Ukraine border. For its part, Moscow has strongly criticized the US and its NATO allies for providing Ukraine with weapons and holding joint drills, saying that such moves encourage Ukrainian hawks to try to regain the rebel-held areas by force. Russia denies it has any plans to invade Ukraine and accuses the West of aggravating the situation. It is uncertain whether war will break out between the two countries, but some analysts say Russia could move in on Ukraine to claim a quick, decisive victory and increase its bargaining power in future talks about NATO's expansion and spheres of influence. Russia has sent troops more than 4,000 miles to Ukraine's borders and announced sweeping naval drills as Moscow expands its preparations for a potential attack on Ukraine as negotiations appear at a deadlock. 6 Russian landing ships capable of carrying main battle tanks, troops and other military vehicles traveled through the Channel en route to the Mediterranean last week in a deployment that could bolster an amphibious landing on Ukraine's southern coast if Vladimir Putin orders an attack. Ukraine's military intelligence has claimed that Russia is hiring mercenaries and supplying its proxy forces in the Donetsk and Luhansk regions with fuel, tanks and self-propelled artillery in preparation for a potential upsurge in fighting. And a large military force, including Iskander short-range ballistic missiles, elite Spetsnaz troops and anti-aircraft batteries, has arrived in Belarus from Russia's eastern military district. An extraordinary deployment that Western officials and analysts say could enable Moscow to threaten Kyiv, Ukraine's capital. As Russia's buildup nears completion, US and European countries have stepped up military support for Ukraine. The UK last week sent more than 2,000 next-generation light anti-tank weapon launchers and deployed about 30 troops from a new Ranger regiment as trainers. Estonia has said it will provide Javelin anti-tank missiles, while Lithuania and Latvia will send Stinger anti-aircraft missiles. In a shift, the Netherlands also said it would be ready to provide defensive weapons to Ukraine. And the US has said it will increase aid. Russian troops, along with Iskander short-range ballistic missiles, began arriving in Belarus last week after traveling across the country from Russia's Far East. The troops are arriving for joint military exercises set for mid-February and will include Russian Sukhoi Su-35 fighter jets. At the same time, Russia has announced sweeping naval drills that will include every fleet in the country's navy, numbering more than 140 warships. Along with the 6 landing craft likely headed for the Mediterranean, a Russian cruiser and destroyer will also be dispatched following the exercises. NATO has also announced its own naval drills, including a U.S. aircraft carrier strike group in the Mediterranean for the next 2 weeks, meaning that the two rivals will be conducting exercises at the same time amid heightened tensions.